Hi, everybody. This is Jackie Schwab back with the Press Play Lifestyle Inspired podcast, where we do interviews with really fun and interesting people like our new friend here, Jessica, on topics to help our listeners, that's you, find the resources, tools, and support they need to be their best inspired selves. How are you today, Jessica?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Jackie, for having me on your show. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
excited.
I'm so excited.
I just can't hide it.
It's actually like 10 o'clock in Central Time, so I've been awake for like ever. So I have lots of children, so you know. So why don't you just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, Jessica, if you can, just like an intro so they know who this person is we're chatting with.
Sure. So I have lived in North Carolina for a long time at this point, probably about 15 years-ish. I went to NC State, go Wolfpack, for undergrad. I have a biology degree from there. And then I went on to Appalachian State and got a master's in higher education. And for a long time, I thought I was going to go to medical school. And for one reason or another, it just didn't pan out for me. And but medicine has always, and the medical field has just always been ingrained in my life in one way or another. So all that to say that I went into higher education for about 5 years. I worked at a university, and I've recently gotten into HR. So I'm actually studying to take my HR certification exam soon, hopefully in May or June. I have 2 kids and a wonderful husband, and my 2 children are actually what have led me to my business. So my business is Health and Wellness with Jessica Iorello, and I help prenatal and postpartum women through their journey of becoming a mother. And that could be anything. So where this kind of gets a little bit muddy, I think, is there's a lot of different educators out there. So there's doulas, there are childbirth educators, and I would call myself a childbirth navigator. So I'm not actually teaching about one specific thing. I am teaching about all of the things so that women can make a thoughtful decision about what works best for them in their journey as they expect their first or second child.
Yeah. So you said your kids kind of spurred this journey for you and then like helping people as a navigator, a childbirth navigator. What happened in that, with your small humans that kind of led you down this path? Was there an event or an experience that sort of made you feel that something needed to be different?
So yeah, I mean, their birth and in my experience in being pregnant with them, um, is a part of my life. It's a part of my journey. I talk about that story often to them, to whoever might ask. A lot of my friends right now are expecting, or, and so they're always asking for stories. What was your birth story? And so you're constantly talking about that. And to me, I was a postnatal group fitness instructor, and I hosted group fitness classes for women who were postpartum. 6 to 8 weeks is when they would come, and then they would be done with the program by the time their child was mobile, because the child could come with them to the class. And the first class that these women would come to, they would work out sometimes, but for the most part, they were just sharing their birth story. And you could always tell when it was a great birth story or when it was terrible. And it was so impactful to them that I knew I wasn't alone in that I wasn't alone in the fact that my birth story was so impactful to me as well. And I felt like, I mean, I had so many resources at my fingertips, but I also felt like I could have known more or done more to be more educated and knowledgeable about my options, at least for the first go around. And the second go around, I felt like I knew a lot more, but I also thought I knew it all. And so then going into my second, I was like, oh, I got this because I've already had a kid. And so I'm like the pro parent, the pro mom. And that is not the case. And I learned that probably about 4 weeks into having my newborn, that A, I was dealing with a completely different child, and B, I needed to just reassess what I was doing. And I talk a lot about that. I offer a downloadable course for women expecting their second baby. And excuse me, I talk a lot about that in the course. Just that, there are no two babies that are alike. My friend has twins, and she even had to navigate two separate human beings at the same time. And so, a lot of women who are expecting their second baby, I was challenged with this as well, but, thinking about how can you even love another child? You just can't even fathom, you love this child, your first child, so much. And how can you love a second child? And you will, and you do. You have four,
That's what my first child was thinking about as well, I think. To be here, mama. We have so I think I would echo your sentiments. We have 4 small humans that we brought in, and they're just so, like, they're crazy different. Like, I have 2 redheads, a blonde and a brunette. My husband and I both have brown hair. They're like, the oldest is just a firecracker and just passionate in all of the loud ways. And then, like, the second one's a Mr. Advocate, and our third one is she's on the autism spectrum, so she's like a genius savant / not potty trained at age. And the 6-year-old is gonna save the world. Like, they're just totally different. And all of the, like, I thought I had, you think I'm like 4th kid, right? You think I got this, right? It's no. He came fast. Yeah, much faster. Well, they all came faster, but much faster. And I'm pretty sure if the on-call guy had a catcher's mitt, he would have felt better prepared.
Yes.
So yeah, we all have. And when my first, I was gonna be crunchy mama. I was not gonna have any medicine. I was tough. Look how badass I am. And then yeah, I was like, the medicine is broken. Please, I want drugs. My husband joked. It's almost funny because you totally get it, but not as funny. 28 hours later, she came and visited all of us. But yeah, so the only thing I can count on, I said, was that they would all be sunny side up. That's pretty much the only thing that we knew was.
I mean, when it comes down to it, you have to do what works for you. I mean, that's the moral of what I talk about. Like, here are all your options. You have to figure out what works for you. I can't tell you what that's going to be. I can direct you. Once you figure out what it is, then I can direct you to resources. I can put you in touch with people who can help you further your education or your knowledge base in whatever it is you're deciding. You want to do Lamaze? Hey, I can put you in touch with people who can teach you how to do Lamaze. But did you even know Lamaze was an option? Do you even know what Lamaze is? So, yeah. But that's exactly right. Like, you go into motherhood and you're like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to be the best at all those things. And then motherhood hits you and you're like, and today that's not working. So we're going to just shift gears.
The first child had cloth diapers and homemade baby food and nursed for a very long time. The last one didn't.
Yeah, if that tells you anything.
Nursed for like 6 weeks. Like, other than that, yeah. No, we're like, it's just not happening.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, it changes from child to child, and it changes in the moment. I mean, you just never know. I thought I was going to do baby-led weaning with my second baby, and every time he would put food in his mouth, he would choke. And now I know there's a difference between choking and gagging is good. I know all those things. But I had to hit his back, do the Heimlich on him several times. I was like, "Meh, we're not doing this. Can't do it anymore. I
I'm
just
done.
can't. I'm done. I'm done."
I remember, like, I saw in a mom's group the other day, and I don't actually, I'm overtly, I don't give my stories to people on the birthing piece, and I have a great reason. Um, Part of it is there's 4 of them stories, right? Like, they were all completely different. There's a lot of different things that was going on with each of them. Um, but what I will do is like help answer questions or point them to people like yourself. Um, but every kid was different. Like, I had the now calmest, sweetest kid of my 4. He ate every hour, 6
Mhm.
months. I thought I might actually die. Like, I am not even kidding. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm just a giant feed bag. This is not going to work. And then the one right after him, she nursed and didn't nurse. She didn't care. Whatever. Just give me food. And stick
Yeah.
anything in her mouth. She's eating it. She didn't care. She was like a super naughty baby. And then like a really good toddler. Like, they were all over. I was like, the first one tricked us. She was so good.
That's
And
why you had more.
he wasn't, and never went back. But she tricked us long enough to make all of the others, you know. So I'm like, oh, what am I thinking? But I think for when I see the moms like ask online, they'll ask like, you know, should I do this or should I do that? And we were we tried so hard to just be with ours. So we were like, I wanted a nurse. And no one in my family ever had, like, that was not a thing. Like, I
Mhm.
was the first attempt at something like that. And but I decided not to get creeped out about it. I was like, well, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, like, babies live with bottles. Like, I'm just gonna be
Absolutely.
totally where I need to be. And I think that is literally the only takeaway I had from all of my birth stories was I let the kids kind of like our family situation and my children's situation and my body situation. 3 of my 4 kids nursed like champs. One of them pierced my nipple at like 2 months old. The thing had
Yes.
teeth. It came out with teeth. I'm like, yeah, we're good. We are good. Like, I don't care about all the nutrients. Yeah, that's great.
We're done.
We're
Done.
done. Right. But it was all very different, and they're like, my mom told me that babies this and they should be potty trained by this time and this and this and this. I was like, stop shooting on each other, ladies.
That's
Like,
exactly
stop
it.
shooting on each other because it's so hard anyway. And yes, ask when they might have done it, but I literally
Mhm.
have 4 stories. When did they start eating? 4 different times. Yeah, 4 different ways. So I think you
Yeah.
just have to not like beat yourself up.
Yeah, and women do that all the time. I'm actually in communication right now with a woman who she just had a baby 2 weeks ago. Nursing's not going the way she wants, but she's committed to it for now. But she's feeling guilty because it's not working. But it's not your fault that it's not working. And your baby is going to be, how is your baby going to eat? That is what you need to figure out. Like, and don't beat yourself up if you're not feeding them the way you want to. You just need to feed your baby, and your baby's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
We had a
I'm
similar one.
I'm a formula fed baby, and I'm fine. A lot of what I talk about too is, if you really want to do something, like if you really want to breastfeed, if that is in you and you want that to happen, then you need to surround yourself with people who are going to support you in that. And if they're not going to support you, then they can't be in your immediate group initially, because you are in a place of vulnerability in the first 4 to 8 weeks, and you need people who are going to surround you, who are going to support you. And so who are those people, and have you had those conversations? Hey mom, I really want to breastfeed, so I need your support in that. And if you can't be that for me, then I can't, like, you can't talk to me about that, or whatever boundaries you set with that person. Because really and truly, you have to have people around you who are going to support you and empower you.
I would agree. It's already hard, right? I
Absolutely.
remember, so Wisconsin folks are pretty conservative. I would imagine the South folks can be conservative as well. And I was really concerned my mother-in-law was, because she's very, very conservative, very conservative Catholic Christian, go to church every Sunday, sort of,
Mhm.
all of that. And we're nursing, and like, we don't even, their family doesn't even hug. Like, I'm like, how is this going to go?
Oh,
Right.
wow.
They don't
Yeah.
even hug something. Oh my goodness. And I remember the first few times they came over after we had our first child and I was nursing, and I had a cover because, we're conservative people in Wisconsin, but I would go in the other room. And I remember, like, one of the most wonderful supportive things, and weirdly creepy, but still supportive, was as I was nursing, she came over and she's like, how does all that work? Like, I was too shy to try. I was too worried that people would say this or that, or I was too concerned to be judged. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like in her 60s. Like, she's worried women are going to judge her. And I
Mhm.
thought, aw, I was like still judging her, this poor woman, right? I was still like, oh, she's going to be like, and she's just like, how does that work? Does it hurt? And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, well, I'll answer those questions. And that
Right.
was supportive for me, for her to be kindly curious,
Mhm.
but I would completely agree. I mean, you don't have to shun anyone, but you do not, if you're not going to make all homemade baby food and you have the homemade baby food clan, like, don't chill with them until after, like, the baby food cycle's over, because you'll just continually feel guilty and you're already hormonally whack-a-mole. So I wouldn't,
100%.
yeah, I'm so down with that. Like, just, make it what you need it to be. You
Mhm.
have like a super memorable client or someone that you really felt either that you helped in a way that was very touching to you,
Mhm.
or that just really something like that was just sticks in your mind and touches your heart.
You know, there I
Wow.
have several.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have so many clients like that because just like every baby is so different, every client is so different and touching and memorable. And um, I also could be that I just like love what I do. Truly love this. And I think it's such important work. And um, so there's not one, I can't just like pick one and be like, this is the one. Um, but just in general, I think that each woman has such an important story when it comes to their birth story and having their babies, um, and feeling like they're empowered in that, um, I don't know, in that experience. I had been thinking about this for a long time, that I wanted to do this, and informally I was helping a lot of my friends, and then I actually had a friend who died during childbirth,
Oh,
and she had an emergency C-section and didn't make it out, and I was really touched by that. It was hard. It was really hard for me. And what I'm not saying is, if she had contact, if we had, if I had helped her, maybe she wouldn't have died. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is her story drove me to say, like, I can help others to be educated, to know, all the things they need to know as they're expecting their first child or their second child. And again, I say this often, but the more educated and knowledgeable you can be, the better decisions you can make and the more questions you can ask. Um, what I find really challenging is that, if you look up the statistics, there's still a high mortality rate in the US with mothers. And I just can't wrap my mind around that. I honestly just can't wrap my mind around it, because here we are in 2020, and that should just not be the case with the amount of modern medicine that we have. But
it's also like a high rate, I believe. I could be outdated in my information, but we have a lot more elective, like, C-sections, and a lot more
absolutely,
elective um, inductions. Like,
absolutely.
and I don't know if there's any correlation. Clearly, I'm not trying to make any type of assumption or say there is anything like that, but I think I appreciate that there can be a positive navigation person such as yourself that can help people find what they need or know the questions to ask, versus like, some of us have pretty gory birth stories or less than optimal. And um, I don't want to tell that story and scare an already scared mom either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it
Yep.
was impactful for me and some great parts and funny, not funny, but and they're all super wonderful for me. They have my babies, but I think we have to be careful too when we're sharing that
Mm-hmm.
this person's in a very gentle place and
Mm-hmm.
a special time. And if you're saying, hey, that they ripped this and they pulled this, and like maybe leave that part out and educate them on their options in terms of epidural or local anesthesia,
Mm-hmm.
like those types of things. But
Right.
I don't think adding preemptive trauma to an already huge experience is helpful either. So if I were to tell anyone, if they're thinking of, whatever they're thinking, doula, not doula, hospital, not hospital, I think it is a great idea to have a childbirth navigator, because it's a positive experience to usher you into one of the most memorable ones of your life, and not necessarily all of your friends' scary horror stories of like the after
Yes.
care and all of the stuff. So
Well, not only that, but just not only to navigate you through all of the pieces of it, but also your partner. I mean, you definitely need your partner to be in tip-top shape and know what they are getting themselves into, because it's just as traumatizing for them, with
my husband was awesome. He's like super, not anymore, but we've been together 20 years. We've been married 20 years. He's shy and quiet,
Mm.
or was. I liked him that way, but anyway, very quiet. And I thought they talk about cutting the cord and all that. I'm like, he's never gonna do that, right? And he was like, oh heck yeah. Like I'm in there. What's going on? He's like, no, I don't want to see that part, but
But
this is cool. So it's like,
I'm in.
yeah, I'm in. Let's do some of this. So and the first child, I was like, are you laughing at me? And he's like, no, I'm freaked out too. It was really, and speaking of right? 4 babies, the fourth child, he almost passed out. Not the first three. He was
But the
hungry.
last one.
He was hungry, and everything went too fast, right? And he was like, "Oh." So you never know, right? You never know. He should be good at this by now. And he's like, "I should have eaten something. I think I'm gonna pass out." He got all white. It was really good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, with my first baby, my husband, he literally had no clue what to expect. And it was an 8-hour overnight birth. And so I started at like, I don't even remember. It was like 12 a.m. is when I was like in active labor, and I didn't have her until like 7:30 or something. And so in the middle of the night, he's like, I think I'm hungry. I'm not sure. There's a lot going on. He's like almost passing out. My midwife is literally feeding him peanut butter crackers and Sprite through a straw. I am in the middle of labor. It
Yeah,
was crazy. It was so crazy. But that's part of our story. And,
yeah, yeah.
again, like a lot of what I talk about for your partners is like, you know, just because you know the information doesn't mean they know the information. So you have to share that with them. Um, you have to prepare them for bring the snacks, tell them to pack a hospital bag. Like they need just as much stuff as you do to feel comfortable, and you need them to be comfortable.
Yeah. I would completely 1,000,000,000% agree. I think that yes, there's some physical things happening for us that they're not necessarily experiencing, but they're going through all of the rest of it, and they're helpless. They feel like they can't, like my husband just wants to fix everything, right? He's like that kind of
Right.
guy. And
Right.
he's standing there watching me like have this experience that he can't fix. And he's just like felt sad, like he can't help me feel
Mm.
better. And now we learned to act like after that how to be better prepared. But I would agree that's they don't have you go to Lamaze with your partner just for no reason, right? They
Right.
have you join together, so because you're going to want the support, even if you have an amazing birth and everything goes perfect.
You need it.
It's nice to have someone
Mm-hmm. It
there
is. It
that's
is.
on your same birth plan too, and on your same story. Like, a friend of mine recently had a baby, she's an older mom, and she had a very, very crunchy birth plan, like certain things are going to go a certain way. None of it went that way, like
Of course.
completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But her partner was like the one that like knew how to usher in each of the next stages, right? And he was,
Oh, how
he
wonderful.
was, and she's such a light. Every time and the baby's new and he's cute, so I get to see pictures. But so every time she talks about him, she's just like, he's was the rock. He was the one that helping her through things not going the way that
Yeah.
she had dreamed they were going to always go. But at the end of it, they still got this cute little amazing
Sweet
bundle of
baby.
joy, right?
I
So
know.
then it's
The,
all worth
squ-
it.
the little squishy baby. You're just like, you're so squishy and new. And
Yeah, and you smell good. Yeah,
oh, you smell good.
always smell good. Hospital beauty, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, how can our listeners get a hold of someone like you, or get a hold of you, if
Mm-hmm.
they really would like to maybe look at having a childbirth navigator in their corner?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, wellnessbyjlo.com, and on there you can do a number of things with me. So you can schedule a one-on-one session with just me. I often will recommend that women do this in postpartum, just to have someone sort of walk you through, hey, how are you doing? Everyone wants to hear about the baby, but no one's ever asking how you are doing. How is your vagina doing? How is your C-section doing?
Yeah.
Nobody
You
wants to
have
talk about
cold
that.
packs down, because seriously, they do help.
They do.
They really are
They
great.
do. And witch hazel, add that to your list. The witch hazel is
And those little
magnificent.
those little squirt bottle things.
Uh-huh.
Heaven.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know what I'm talking about? I'll call her. She'll tell you all about it. You
Yes.
need a squirt bottle thing.
You need a
Trust
squirt bottle thing. You do.
the
Most
best.
of the time, the hospital will supply you with
They
that. But if
do.
not, Amazon or wherever, whatever, you got to go get the
Number
squirt
one
bottle.
and most important bathroom item for life.
Yes. Leave it by the toilet.
Yeah.
So a one-on-one mentor session is probably the best for postpartum women. I do host a 6-week course for prenatal women where we go over lots of different things, like how to navigate finding a pediatrician, how to navigate finding a daycare, what's the difference between a doula, a certified nurse midwife, a nurse practitioner, and a physician. Um, I have a guest speaker of a certified nurse midwife who comes on and talks about C-sections and vaginal births and inductions. And it's also just a good time to ask questions of anything in particular with your story that you're navigating in the current moment. And also my husband hosts a session for the dads, because as I said, they are just as important. And so we have a
Go
session for them
husband
too.
being supportive of you.
Yeah. So yeah, he loves it, actually. He really loves talking to the men and sort of preparing them for
I
what's to
think
come.
I think we forget a little bit about, because we don't always ask our men, but we have a child on the autism spectrum, and so we have some unique things that with our story. And my husband is like the champ of dude advocates for helping dads. I mean,
That's so awesome.
if people will ask stuff at the office, and he's all like, let me tell you what you need to know, boyfriend. I got you. Right. He
I
is
got
all
you.
in. He doesn't say like that though, because he's more like, would you like someone that you could talk to? And it is so cool, because they're yes, yes, holy
Mhm.
crap, yes, I'm allowed to
Mhm.
talk to people. And he's like, oh man, yeah,
Yes.
you gotta do that. So I think it is kind of those opportunities early in your time together, or maybe late. How long we were together, a long time before we had our first baby, but uh, to start that support system where both of you are in it together, right? Your partners, and how are you going to navigate? Like, it's such an important part of your life, and a beginning
Yeah.
of, it's a good opportunity to learn how to partner in something that's so bigger than you, right? And it takes so much
Right.
time to unfold.
Well, the thing about the group session and the prenatal workshop or the prenatal course is that you hear from other women, and the men hear from the other men some questions or things that they're thinking about, and then they're thinking, oh, that's a great thing to be thinking about. Maybe I should be thinking about that too. And then, it just triggers them to be thinking about other things. So it really is a great course. And then I also offer a downloadable sort of on your own course for second time moms. So we talk about, we talk about how to educate your toddler, how to deal with the chaos of having two children, these moments of feeding your child so quietly and sweetly on the couch are over. OVER.
Do you remind them that they should enjoy peeing alone right now, because that is the last time they will ever pee by themselves?
No, it's kind of one of those things you don't want to tell them because it's
You're right. You're right. That's one of those things. I was like, my youngest now is 6. And the other day I like had this wonderful epiphany. I'm like, I'm peeing by myself. This is fantastic.
The door isn't open. People aren't coming in and out.
I was like, now, next on my bucket list, bath by myself.
I mean,
right?
I don't know.
Candle, that might be pushing it, but
yeah, don't push it with the candle.
yeah, someone's getting burnt, right? We haven't had candles in our house in 14 years, right? Somebody's gonna get burnt. Right?
Maybe try bubbles first. Maybe like a bubble situation.
Yeah, by myself. I should just time it and see how much I can extend the by myself time. Maybe that'll be
start there. That might be
bad.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you put something under the door so it takes a while for them to get it open. All right, I shouldn't tell any of the audience that. This isn't true. You really do get to pee alone.
Well, in the class, I talk about all types of similar things, the chaos that will ensue where everyone will potentially need you at one given time, and how do you handle the chaos, and how do you sort of integrate your toddler into having an infant in the house, right? So, they might be 2 or 3. They don't really understand gentle. And so what are you doing to help them?
So many head traumas.
Many. My poor son, he had stickers all over him so many times, and just like, but my first kid, I would have been like, oh my God, why is there a sticker on my baby? But my second kid, I was like, you know what?
You were just glad it wasn't a crayon up his nose. That's all.
There you go. Exactly.
Like, stickers come off.
Yeah, stickers are fine. We're going to all make it. He's alive. He's not crying. My toddler's not crying. We're doing great today.
All is well. My husband's favorite thing, and then we can probably wrap up. He said, here's the difference between kid number 1 and kid number anything after. Like kid number 1, Binky, like pacifier, falls on ground. Parent freaks. Parent disinfects it, right? It goes through the dishwasher and the super extra container. And then you still second guess. Then you're like, wait, I should wash it because it was infected, like stuff, it's chemicals. You have this event, right? Mm-hmm. Baby number anything else,
back in the mouth. Yep.
I don't even care. It can land in the dirt. It's still going in your mouth and in the Binky mouth because you're like, whatever. You got 3 of them crying. One of them's hitting the other one. Let's go.
Yep. I can do things. I can just put this in your mouth and you're quiet. The rest.
Yeah. He's like, it's the big, you know how many kids you have by how you handle the Binky. Yep. It gets dirtier every kid. He's like, the last kid, you're just like, here, you dirt. I was like, no, you don't. He's like, I know.
Absolutely true.
Well, thank you so much. It was really wonderful talking to you. And we'll make sure in the show notes that we'll have wellnessbyjlo.com, and we'll have all of the ways they can get in touch with you. And thank you so, so very much for taking time out of your busy day to meet with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie. I really appreciate it. It's
right,
been fun.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.